podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. The show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, April 11th, 2021. This is episode 1787. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by IT Pro TV. Expand the skills of your IT team and get the up-to-date certificates they need and you want. Visit itpro.tv/twit for an additional 30% off all consumer subscriptions for the lifetime of your active subscription. Just use the code TWIT30 at checkout. And by Amazon Pharmacy. Amazon Prime members can save on prescription medication when not using insurance and get free 2-day delivery. Learn more at amazon.com/techguy. Oh, well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We've got smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, anything with a chip in it, any kind of technology at all. I'd love to talk about it with you. 827-5536. That's the phone number. Now, outside that area, I didn't mention which area. Outside the U.S. and Canada, that's the area. It's toll-free. You could still call us, but you have to use Skype out or something. That'll call a phone number. Shouldn't cost you anything. You don't need credits because it is a toll-free number after all. 8888 Ask Leo. Now, if you hear something on the show and you go, wow, I've got to make a note of that, or wow, that's so dumb, I should really tell Leo off. Either way, the best place to do that is, well, you can do it on the phone, I guess, but the website, really. If you want to tell me off, you can call or yell at the radio or go to the website, techguylabs.com. And here's why. Everything that happens on the show gets written down. James DeRuvo, our scribe, is writing that down, putting it up there at techguylabs.com. We also put audio and video from the show later, after the fact, so you can go to that show. This is episode 1787, and go to that show, look up the answer. The links will all be there, that kind of thing. Or listen or watch. And you can comment. You can say, hey, there's a better idea. I have a better idea. That kind of thing. And all of that is free. There is no sign-up required. I don't want your email address. We do kind of require you log in with Twitter or Google or Facebook or something like that to leave a comment only. That's only for leaving a comment, and that's only a speed bump for spam. That's all. That's the only reason we do that. TechGuyLabs.com. Make a note of it, if you will. Wow, I was stunned by this story. Router manufacturers, the big routers, the ones that internet service providers make and use, they use, are now delayed. Many ISPs are reporting delayed as long as 60 weeks, more than a year, because of chip shortages. These chip shortages are rippling through the whole industry. You saw Ford has put off manufacture of F-150 trucks because they can't get the chips. They're long virtual lines to buy some of the newer microprocessors, graphics processing cards, and chips for computers. ISPs who can't get these routers are in a bind because they can't really expand. They can't add new subscribers. You need every X subscribers, you need a new router. And they can't expand until they get new routers. One of the big manufacturers, a company out of Taiwan called Zycel, since January, they've been asking customers to order products a year in advance because the lead time for these chips, components from companies like Broadcom, has doubled to a year or more as well. Wow. Supply chain problems. Now, what is the problem? Is it COVID? I guess some. Actually, one of the problems for Zycel is, you remember that ship, the Ever Given, that got stuck in the Suez Canal? Well, one of the containers on there was full of Zycel routers. So those routers now are salvage. The Egyptian government's claiming everything that's on board that they're salvage. I mean, I guess eventually they'll get out there. Some of this is, COVID. Some of it is just high demand. It's crazy. Silicon wafers that they use to make these chips are in short supply, so the components that they use to build the chips are in short supply, so that just ripples down. The answer, of course, is going to take years, but companies like TSMC, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company that makes a lot of these chips, in fact, Apple has a deal with them to make all of its Apple Silicon M1 chips. Apple bought up all the stock, which actually caused a shortage among other non-Apple people buying chips from the same company. Nevertheless, these companies are saying, well, we're going to build new factories, but these factories are expensive. They cost around $10 billion to build, and they take a couple of years. TSMC says we're going to invest $100 billion in making new factories over the next few years. Other chip manufacturers, Intel says we're going to spend $30 billion. We're going to build 3 new fabs. I think at least 2 of them in Arizona, which is another good idea because, of course, there's a lot of concern about getting chips out of China with the geopolitical situation as it is. It's an interesting situation to be in. I guess, in a way, this is a reflection of the success of the tech revolution, where the demand for these things has gone through the roof. MacBook and iPad production delayed. Same thing because of chip shortages. And Apple is, we expect Apple will any day now. I'm looking. It's April 11th as I speak right now. That means if Apple's going to do an event, they're not going to do one on the 13th because that's this Tuesday because they haven't sent out an invitation. So the best we could hope for is April 20th with invitations coming out next Tuesday. Or then maybe April 27th. If Apple's going to do an event, we were waiting all through March for Apple to do an event. Now I'm thinking maybe it's not going to be in April either. The only thing Apple's announced is that we're going to have the Worldwide Developers Conference in June. We know they'll probably, we talked about this yesterday, announce new laptops then. But the world is expecting the Apple punditry, because they look at, there's all sorts of indicators. They're expecting this month, new iPad Pros, new Apple TVs, this thing called AirTags that Apple's been promising for a year. They announced it more than a year ago that they were going to make these location devices, like the Bluetooth trackers, like the Tile or the tracker that you put on your keychain or your remote controls or whatever. Apple apparently is planning to make them. Apple's been building the special chip for these trackers into its devices for more than a year, into the watch, into the iPad, into the phone. It's called a U1 chip. It's a chip that lets you, for instance, you've lost your keys. They're in the house somewhere. You could aim your phone, pan your phone around, beep, 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 warmer, colder, warmer, like that. And the phone would say, yeah, it's over there, which is pretty cool. Except they haven't put out the tags yet. Could be the chip shortage. I don't know. It could be all of this is up in the air again because they can't get the components. A shortage of displays components, a shortage of processors. It's not just processors. It's little chips too. There's a company that makes little tiny, they call them DACs. This Japanese company that makes these DACs had a fire in October, actually. But these DACs are used in everything, including those F-150 trucks and your phone and everything else. This fire happened months ago, but they're still They're still rebuilding. Then there was another fire in March in Tokyo in the Renesas Electronics Corporation. They make parts that automakers need, like Toyota, Nissan, and Honda, and Ford. 2/3 of chips at the factory were automotive chips, and that factory's down for the count as of last month. So that's a couple of fires. Wow. The fire in October was at a factory that makes a significant part of 1/6 of the world's supply of memory chips. SK Hynix, they had a fire in Shanghai. It just goes on and on. It's as if they don't want us to have technology. What's the story here? 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. I know that there's more in your life than chip shortages, but it does impact everything. So if you see delays and stuff, like just things like signing up for an internet service provider and they say, well, we can't, we don't have any routers to add you, now you'll know. 888-827-5536. That's the phone number. I'd love to hear from you if you want to talk high tech with me. That's kind of really what I do. Well, don't go all crazy or anything. Just, she's doing her best. Hey, operator.
Is that the same as the cold as ice guys?
I don't know. Is that Foreigner? Yeah.
It had that same sound.
Yeah. Professor Laura says it's Ferner.
It's Ferner.
I call him Ferner. So we always have a different phone song, thanks to Professor Laura, our musical director, who comes up with these things. I don't know how. A different phone song every week for this person.
It's called the Google. I'm sure she goes, songs with this word in it.
The Google.
Because that's what I would do too.
What do we do before the Google? That'd be hard. You'd have to go back to the music library and shuffle through albums and look on the back and see if phone was in there.
And you were a certain format, and she's able to pull from everything from
That's right.
the Google and the YouTubes.
That's right. Everything's on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Music or Google Music.
You're bringing me back to days when I produced talk shows and how I got my music.
Stuff has really changed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And it happens. We're like frogs in the proverbial boiling water. It just happens so gradually you don't even notice it.
And then you look back 20 years and go, wow.
What has happened?
I look at old pictures that I took on the first digital camera and they're all fuzzy.
Well, one thing that hasn't changed, the phone is still a phone.
Yeah, let's go to our good friend Stacy, Tiny Gami.
Oh!
She kind of wants to follow up on the call about emergency alerts before, but she also has a question for you.
She lives in Michigan and didn't get an alert the last tornado. It's a little timely. Thank you, Kim. Hello, Stacy. You see the tiny Gami on my, it's radio, so you don't. But there's a little tiny Gami on my desk right here. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What can I do for you today?
Well, I wanted to call with a little update on what I ended up doing because I keep watching the news and seeing all these tornadoes.
Yeah, it's tornado time again, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And surprisingly, even some people who live where there's tornadoes like that don't have this wonderful device that is not super high tech. But after I talked to you, I tried calling Verizon and the FCC and got nowhere with either of them. And so I ended up, it was kind of crazy. I had one of those little Midland emergency radios out in my work studio just so I could listen to NPR.
Yeah.
I never set it to the NOAA Weather Channel. So I finally did that after I talked to you. And then I also got the American Red Cross free tornado app that sends out alerts through NOAA. And then I found a really interesting app called Tornado Spy, which is crowdsourced. So if people see tornado activity, you go on to Tornado Spy and report it, and it alerts people in that area. So, like, if I had Tornado Spy last August, and after it went through our yard, I could have warned the people east of me it was coming because no one ever sent us alerts.
So just to recap for people who didn't hear the original call, you live in Michigan where tornadoes are a problem this time of year. And a tornado, as you say, a tornado went through your yard and you had expected your phone Because it's on the emergency alerts, in theory, would have said something, but it didn't. And I think really the problem is it's not consistent enough to rely on. So it's probably good to make sure that those emergency alerts are turned on in your phone. But I like your NOAA idea, your weather radio idea. But then you have to sit and listen all the time.
Okay, but here's the best thing. So I said it, and they say there's like 5 channels you can list in your geographic area.
Yeah.
Where I live, we only get 1.
Yeah.
And so I said it, and I forgot about it. And then I was working all alone in my studio one day, and it scared the bejeebers out of me because the siren went.
So it'll go off. It'll go off. The radio will go off even if you're not listening to it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
So I turned it on, and the reason that it went off wasn't because a tornado was coming. It was because the radio station was going off air.
Oh, well, that's not as useful.
So they were alerting you to change to a different station.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
But then I knew it worked. And so then I bought a second one for the house.
Except if you only get one station, now you're in trouble.
It's not ideal, but I'm like, this is better because now I know that thing works.
Tell me about the neighbor alerts. I think people, especially in the Southeast, we're really seeing a lot of tornado activity. What's the name of that app? It's
called Tornado Spy.
Tornado Spy. And it's on your phone?
Yeah, I'm on iOS. And it costs a couple dollars.
Well, yeah, but it's worth it, right?
Like Red Cross.
Yeah, and Red Cross is also on Google's Android as well as iOS. I don't know if Tornado Spy is, because it looks like an iOS-only app. Very cool. And then you can say, hey, they just went through my backyard. And then they put a map up of where the tornado's been?
I think it says that, but I haven't had to use it, thank goodness. So I haven't really explored it fully.
Wow.
But yeah, it's nice to know that, people east of you or north of you can probably warn you before something.
Yeah, fantastic.
The next
fantastic. Do you kind of know, is it like tornado weather? You'll have to forgive me. I've never been in a tornado except for the Wizard of Oz. Do you kind of know? Is it like tornado weather?
Kind of, but not really, because there's lots of really windy days. And
so you just
storms are
it's just it could be unexpected, like an earthquake out here.
But sometimes stuff happens. Like once I was driving cross country and I was passing on I-90 Gillette, Wyoming, and I actually called my mom because I have Bluetooth in my phone, and I'm like, hey, look at the weather map and tell me what is happening near Gillette, Wyoming.
Now you don't have to. I got to run, but thank you, Stacy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Sam's coming up. Yeah, he's. It's funny. The name of the company is Just in Time. It's Just in Time Apps. That's really cool. I'm trying to. It looks like it's only on Apple, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Well, and I had one quick question for you, too.
Sure.
That I could ask you right now.
Yes.
So I've looked at your website for microphone recommendations because I started an Origami podcast.
Oh, wow. Wait a minute. We got to get you on the air and talk about that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it and listening to so many podcasts the last 12 months. I'm like, this would be interesting because I don't think there's anyone doing it yet.
Foldin', foldin', foldin'. Get that paper foldin'. So, what's the name of the show?
The Origami Show.
The Origami Show. No one else has got it. You get it. That's good. No. It's always smart to have the name of the show be in the topic in the name. That's great.
Yeah.
So, I think your best bet for lowest price would be the Audio-Technica ATG microphones, which the nice thing about them is they're
I already bookmarked that you always recommend the Pyle.
I do, but that's not a good choice for just starting out. It's overbuying. But
I wasn't going to buy that now.
Yeah, get the AT. You can get it on Amazon for $100. The AT 2020.
Okay.
From Audio-Technica. And the nice thing is it plugs right into, it's a USB. Oh, wait a minute. Now, this one is not. They make them USB. That one's not. But one of them, is it the AT? I got it. The airplane guy, podcast guy, calls all the time to tell me, you never recommend this enough because it's so inexpensive and it has a really good sound to it. But now this is crazy. Let me find the AT2020 USB. I want the one that's USB. It's the AT2020 USB Plus. Sorry about that. That's a little more expensive. It's $150. But see, that's half what a Heil would cost you. Huh?
I have a Yeti already.
Yeti's fine. If you've got a Yeti, you're good.
But I need headphones, and I couldn't find anything in your archives that really dealt with headphones.
Well, the Yeti has a headphone jack, right? Yeah. So any earbuds would go in that headphone jack. The reason why you want to use that one, not the one on your computer, is that's in real time. The computer will be delayed. So you want to plug it into the Yeti, and any earbuds will do. You don't have to have anything fancy.
Okay. 'Cause I had a pair of the Skull Candy headphones flying around.
You buy those at the gas station for $20. They're not comfortable.
They're not comfortable at all. And I have...
Well, the ones I wear are $65. So that's pretty cheap.
Okay.
And they're very comfortable. I wear them all day. These are the Akg K240. And they're also on Amazon. I think $69, something like that. AKG K240s.
Okay.
And they're great. The only problem is, $69. The only problem is you can't turn them up too loud because they're not closed ear. They're semi-open. So if it was really loud, it might feed back into that microphone. Mine don't, but just to be aware of. Oh, nice. Okay. Congratulations. And we'll tell people the Origami Show or the Origami Pod Show? The Origami Show.
The Origami Show. Yeah, I was trying to think of something cute and clever, but all the were taken.
That's good.
This was available.
That's good. Stace, I got to run. Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you for your help. I appreciate it. Bye.
We'll have more with the Tech Guy Show in just a bit. Our show today brought to you by IT Pro TV, my good buddies, Tim Broom, Don Pizzette. They created IT Pro TV because they knew there was a need for IT training that was accessible to all any time of the day or night, anywhere in the world, and that's how IT Pro TV was born. Man, what a success story, too. They now have, how many? Seven studios running Monday through Friday all day, recording the hottest content because IT is a never-ending, never stand-still topic, right? There's always new stuff to learn, new versions. The tests change, the certification exams. And, of course, IT Pro TV keeps up with all of it. 5,800 hours of on-demand, engaging video training with the best trainers. These are people who not only are experts in the field, but they know how to have fun. They know how to make it exciting and entertaining and enjoyable. It's just simply put the easiest way to get those IT skills. And by the way, you can do it anywhere. You can watch it on your big screen TV. They have apps for Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, Android and iOS. You can watch it on your computer. Just put it everywhere. Have it running all the time because you're just going to be learning all the time. And with the all-you-can-eat subscription, it makes it easy. And if you have an IT team, IT Pro TV was built for you. IT teams, of course, have to constantly upgrade their skills, constantly get new skills. You want your team to have the most up-to-date certificates, the best training. This is how you can have them stay on track. The team version of IT Pro TV lets you track your team results so you can demonstrate the ROI of your training spend. It's called the Pro Portal, and it lets you manage your seats, assign, unassigned team members, access monthly usage reports. You can see metrics. You can see how your team's doing, logins, viewing time, courses viewed, tracks completed, and so forth. Makes it very easy to manage teams. You can create subsets of teams or subsets of users so you can give them the customized assignments and training that they need. You can monitor their progress. You can see how they use the platform. Assignments can be anything you want, from full courses to individual episodes within courses. You can choose to download the data in a convenient CSV for more advanced reporting needs. And the advanced reporting is really useful. You get immediate insights into your team's viewing patterns and progress. You select the period of time. The reports are visual. They're beautiful. They're easy to read. They're dynamic. They're updated weekly, monthly, quarterly. You can even get email alerts that'll let you know, hey, the new report's in. Your team's detailed viewing activity is at your fingertips. And with a CSV version, you can download it, import it into a spreadsheet, put it anywhere you want, massage it any way you want. For individuals and for teams, IT Pro TV is awesome. The best online IT training program to keep your employees motivated. They've been doing these months lately, which is great. This month, April, Linux month. Yay! They'll be having 2 Linux-related webinars and a Linux-free weekend this coming weekend, next weekend, April 17th and 18th. Linux-free I should take the weekend off. I'd like to do this. And if you've been checking out Technado, their podcast that Don Pizzette hosts, I can't believe it. It's already at its 200th episode. That'll be April 22nd. They'll be doing a live show. There's lots of giveaways. So Technado, it's a must listen anyway, but make sure you listen April 22nd for the live show. Look, if you're interested in learning IT for yourself or for your team, if you want certifications, if you need just to get the skills, IT Pro TV is the place to do it. I am a huge fan. Go to itpro.tv/twit. Use the code TWIT30. You'll get 30% off all consumer subscriptions. itpro.tv/twit. Offer code again, TWIT30. 30% off on your consumer subscription as long as you stay active. That could be forever if you want. IT Pro TV. Build or expand your IT career and enjoy the journey. itpro.tv/twit. Thank you, IT Pro TV. Now back to the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time for our car guy, Sam Abuelsamid. I just want to follow up a little bit with Stacy. She, it turns out, our origami queen, she makes the tiniest origami ever. It's so cute. Is doing an origami podcast called The Origami Show. She wanted a microphone recommendation. We recommended the what Chris, not Chris in Miami, Micah in Maine always recommends the ATR 2020 from AT Audio Technica. It's just really great. Is that what you use, or the 2100?
Yeah, I have a couple of the 2100s. I have one in my office that I use for calls during the day.
Really good.
And I also use it when I'm traveling because
they're cheap.
The Heil's a little big to haul around with.
Right. They're cheap. And by the way, Tornado Spy is also available on Android. My mistake. So Tornado Spy on Android and iOS to keep an eye on tornadoes, and listen to Stacy's Origami Show. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Leo.
So we're talking about chip shortages. I guess the F-150 line is back. They're making more trucks.
It's on and off. I mean, almost every manufacturer, every car maker is having issues, production issues because of chip shortages right now. Because I mean, the problem is pretty much universal.
Yeah,
and so everybody's being impacted to varying degrees.
But it's a combination of COVID, but also of wildly increased demand.
Yeah, we obviously had a lot more demand through the course of 2020. As people were working from home, buying new computers to work at home, buying webcams and microphones and all the other stuff, gaming consoles, that they were using while you're stuck in the house for a year. So all these things have been impacting it. And at the beginning of the pandemic, when the car factories had to shut down, manufacturers don't like to keep getting parts that they have to pay for if they're not building vehicles with them,
right,
that they can ship and get paid themselves. So they canceled a lot of orders because they didn't know how long they were going to be shut down. They canceled a lot of orders with the chip foundries. So the chip foundries shifted over to producing other components where there was demand. And then, when car sales started to pick back up again, all of a sudden they were left in the lurch because now they couldn't get parts because the chip foundries had already shifted production elsewhere. So it's been a problem across the board, and it's not it's in consumer electronics as well, just everywhere, growing demand, and along with some of the various issues that you mentioned earlier, fires at a couple of plants, the Renesas factory in Japan. Renesas is the second largest supplier of chips to the auto industry after NXP.
Wow.
And there was also the plant that was making the DACs in California. Digital to analog converters or analog digital converters, very important in cars because you've got all these sensors in the cars. Those sensors typically have analog outputs directly from the sensor. You've got to convert that to a digital signal to process it. And so, you're using a lot of analog to digital converter chips, in wheel speed sensors, camera sensors, every sensor, you've got hundreds of sensors around the vehicles.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't mean to hijack your segment today. I see something behind you that looks like autonomous vehicle stuff. Is that what that is?
It is related, yeah. So I think may have talked before about V2X communications, vehicle to everything communications, like vehicle to vehicle to infrastructure. And this is something that's finally, I think, going to start to gain some traction in 2022. But Ford has been doing some interesting stuff recently. One of their test sites where they've been developing their automated vehicles with their partner Argo AI is in Miami. And one of the challenges for automated vehicles, just as it is for humans, is the sensors are limited to line of sight. If there's a building at the corner of an intersection, you can't see through that building. It doesn't matter if you've got cameras or radar or LiDAR. Yeah. You can't see through that building to see what's coming. And Waymo recently released a paper they did. They did some simulation studies. They took some real-world fatal crashes that happen in Chandler, Arizona, where they do a lot of their testing. And in simulation, they found that if they substitute their vehicles in for the vehicles involved in the crash, they were able to avoid those crashes. But in Chandler, a lot of one of the examples they used was a vehicle that was speeding. It was a drunk driver. It was speeding, ran through a red light, and struck another vehicle and killed the person in the other vehicle.
Oh gosh!
But in Chandler, if you've been there, you tend to have much more wide open intersections. The buildings are set back further from the intersection, so that if the other vehicle that got struck had been an AV, its sensors could have seen farther down the road and stopped or slowed down in time to avoid that crash. The same thing in Miami or in a lot of other cities wouldn't work because the buildings tend to be a lot closer to the curb. And so what Ford has done is they've installed these smart sensor pods over some of these intersections that include camera, radar, and LiDAR, and also cellular V2X radios that the sensors can see what's coming in all directions at that intersection. And when there's a potential hazard or something that their automated vehicles need to look out for, it can communicate that information, communicate those alerts to the other vehicles so they can respond before they even see what's coming.
Wow. So I think in the long run, though, isn't the plan to have car-to-car communications? I mean, if you get enough of these vehicles on the road, they have wireless, they have GPS, you don't have to look around corners. You know what's over there because it's telling you.
Yeah, and this is using the same technology. It's it's using the same cellular V2X technology that we're going to have in vehicles for vehicle-to-vehicle communications.
VDX, is that the
V2X?
V2X.
So V2X is the superset. There's V to V, which is vehicle-to-vehicle. There's V to I, vehicle-to-infrastructure, vehicle-to-pedestrian, and so on. V2X is vehicle-to-everything.
Everything.
So it's just the superset of all these things.
Presumably, other objects will be transmitting as well. Is that the idea?
Yep. Eventually, your smartphone will have the ability to broadcast and receive these same kinds of
That's great for pedestrians.
Messages.
Yeah.
Bicycles, motorcycles, all the vehicles should eventually have this.
I love this idea. I'm very nervous about riding a bicycle on our streets because where there are no bicycle lanes or even where there are, it's just very dangerous. But if it was autonomous vehicles and I had a transponder and they could tell I was there, I would feel much safer. There's a lot of good reasons to do this, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, putting it on the infrastructure, you can have traffic signals that communicate, their timing to approaching vehicles. You don't need cameras
as much. Yeah.
And if you've got an emergency vehicle approaching an intersection, using V2X, the emergency vehicle can communicate to the traffic signals and automatically change the traffic signals as that emergency, as an ambulance or a fire truck is approaching that intersection.
I've seen this in buses and other emergency vehicles. There's some sort of transponder that they have that tell the light to change.
And those are mostly for GPS for tracking where the vehicles are.
No, but I've seen them change the lights. So I know there's some lights, not all have receivers. The real issue with all of this, though, is that none of it makes sense until the majority, maybe a lot more than the majority of vehicles on the road are using this technology.
And that's where having those sensor pods on the intersections can help as an interim solution so that the vehicles that are equipped can start to take
emergency
advantage of that
vehicles,
before or AVs, buses, and everything. Can, and even just regular vehicles that are going to have V2X, they can start to take advantage of these signals before there's a critical mass of vehicles that can communicate to each other.
I do hope, and we're running out of time, so we'll have to save this for another day, but I do hope they're paying attention to security as they design these because
that's absolutely part of this. There's standards that are part of the V2X communication protocols.
You can just imagine the fun hackers would have with messing with this. Sam Abuelsamid, he's a principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights. Also has his own podcast. Who doesn't these days? This is a good one. It's called Wheel Bearings. You'll find it at wheelbearings.media. And you'll find Sam here every week. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Leo. Nice. So you're in luck for tomorrow. Jensen Wang's keynote is only going to be an hour long.
Oh, hallelujah! You had warned me that he's a long talker.
The live ones tend to run longer, but
this one's not live, so they know exactly how long it'll be.
Yeah, it's going to be 60 minutes. A lot of interesting information. I got pre-brief on automotive stuff the other day. So there's going to be some really interesting things that are part of the announcements tomorrow. So
that's 8:30 a.m. Pacific. I'm coming in early to do that, and I was thinking I'll be here all morning, but John's cheering too. He doesn't have to be here all morning either. I could do it from Skype. I might do that, John. Would you mind if I did it from home? Never mind. All right, well, I'll do it from home then. I won't have to get up early.
There you go.
And Sam, if you want to join me, you'll be watching it, I'm sure.
I'll be watching. I mean, if you
do you want to join me?
To join in,
Skype in.
I'd be happy to. Yeah. I have
that
to.
would be huge.
Right afterwards, as soon as it's done, I have to jump over. I'm going to be on a Q&A with Jensen Wang.
You can leave early if you want. You can leave early.
Okay.
But even if you're just there for the first half hour, just to explain the car stuff would be huge.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
I should have asked you earlier. I didn't even think I'm a dummy. So good.
Yeah, just have John send me whatever logistics there are for that. If you want me to use the same Zoom link or
John will send you a Zoom link for it specifically.
Okay.
Anything else, John? He needs. Yeah, we'll start around 8:15 our time, which is of course 10:15 yours. So.
Okay.
You don't have to get up so early.
I'll be up already. I'll be already a couple hours into my working day at that point.
We usually turn the tape on around 8:25, 5 minutes ahead of time, because I don't want to spend too much time guessing. But given if you're going to be there, we might start a little earlier just to say, what can we expect? Because you have some idea.
Yeah. All right.
Nice. They're asking what percent of it is car stuff?
I've only been briefed on the car-related stuff, so I don't know what else is going to be in there. So I don't know. I would say probably at least a third, maybe car-related.
Oh, Mike says you're in the Eastern time zone. I didn't realize Detroit was in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So 11:15 your time.
Yes, it's 11:15.
Yeah, my fault.
And then 12:30, I've got a Q&A with Jensen.
Okay, we'll get you out of there by 12:15.
All right.
Hey, very nice.
It's not like I have to go anywhere to do it. I just jump from one call to another.
Jensen. Hey, that's awesome. That's awesome. We'll talk tomorrow morning.
All right. Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Sam.
Bye.
All right. See ya. Oh, that's great. I wish I'd thought of that about 4 days ago. I don't know why I didn't. But Sam is very agreeable. He's a very nice guy. So Keith 512 is asking what percentage of it is car stuff. That's one of the reasons I want to do this. It's that GPUs now are in at least 4 big applications. Cars is one of them. Of course, Cryptocurrency mining is another. The traditional graphics processing for gaming and computing is a third. And then there's machine learning. GPUs turn out to be very good at that. So at least those 4 topics tomorrow, if not more. The thing that I think what you're really seeing is that these graphics cards, CPUs are about arithmetic. These graphics cards are really about the world, the outside world, the kind of parallel processing you need to understand things like what's going on the road, or, crypto mining or that kind of thing. So it's very interesting. Anyway, 8:15 tomorrow morning Pacific. The world's famous Take Me Down to Ypsilanti, Michigan, where the home of Sam Abuelsamid is. Sam's going to join me tomorrow. We do special broadcasts from time to time on my podcast network, special live broadcasts. Tomorrow, Jensen Huang, who is the CEO of NVIDIA, will be doing his annual keynote for their big conference. And normally we don't really cover that. NVIDIA makes graphics processing chips, but I think NVIDIA now, they're in the market trying to buy ARM. I think they're starting to become as big a player, if not a bigger player, than companies like Intel. Bigger than AMD, maybe. So very interesting. We'll be covering that. You can watch live at twit.tv/live starting around 11:15 Eastern, 8:15 Pacific tomorrow, Monday morning for Jensen Huang's keynote. If you think about what NVIDIA and what graphics processors in general do these days, historically they were created for gaming because in gaming you have to do not only the calculations about where the players are in relation to each other, where your bullets or projectiles are going and all of that, but you also have to draw it. And it turns out that's a really natural kind of division of labor on a microprocessor or a micro PC, to let the CPU do all the calculating. You're here, they're there. I can see behind that, I can't see behind that kind of thing. And the GPU gets that information and then renders it, draws it, because it can handle, it's very parallel. It can do a lot of things at once and can handle big chunks of data very efficiently. So drawing patterns on the screen, drawing characters, all of that a GPU is very good at. Well, it turns out those skills are useful in other areas as well. Sam's talking about, of course, and he'll certainly cover this tomorrow on the NVIDIA keynote, for cars, for self-driving vehicles. A car has to think about it. A car is mapping a huge number of things around it, all the objects around it in 3D space and in real time, and a GPU is very important for that kind of thing. So NVIDIA is a big player in self-driving vehicles. It's a big player. In fact, it's hard to get NVIDIA graphics cards right now because it's widely used by Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency miners because it's so fast at doing that kind of calculation in parallel. It's very good at that, better than a CPU is. And of course, machine learning, the fourth pillar, the fourth leg of the table. In fact, Google and others use NVIDIA GPUs in their server farms to do machine learning. So I guess if you wanted to kind of divide the CPU and the GPU, we've talked about this before, the CPU does more of the calculating, the arithmetic, and the GPU is doing more of the real-life stuff, multi-parallel processing, many layers at once. Very interesting. We'll be tuning in tomorrow. I hope you will too. Back to the phones we go. 8888 Ask. Leo Lewis is on the line from Hollywood. Hello, Lewis.
Mr. President.
Hello.
Before my question, Leo, I have a quick public service announcement for anyone interested in Bitcoin. There is a Bitcoin automated teller in Hollywood at the intersection of Hollywood Boulevard and Gower. You'll find it in the 7-Eleven just opposite the Amazon lockers.
Do you give it money, American money, and then it turns into...
I think you need to bring your platinum card.
Aha.
Yeah.
You use a credit card.
But
what is it? What do you need a machine to do that? What does it spit out?
I assume I haven't looked at it closely. I'm not a in the socioeconomic group that I could afford to buy Bitcoin.
Not now. Yeah.
But I assume that you enter your account information and then put in the credit card and buy.
Oh yeah, you need a wallet. If you don't have a wallet, no coins will emerge.
No.
No, which would be nice. Bitcoin is currently at very close to $60,000, which has to be disturbing to people who had Bitcoin that they'd purchased for $1 or $2,
or to people who misplaced their password.
You know what? Okay, let me explain what our good friend Lewis is mentioning. It's an embarrassment, but I have to admit it. I created a Bitcoin wallet about 10 years ago when Bitcoin first started, and people gave me donated Bitcoin, and I got Bitcoin and so forth, and it put it in the wallet. Now there's almost 8 Bitcoin in it, which, if my calculations are correct, is approaching $500,000. But I did something very smart and simultaneously very stupid. I protected it because, anybody who gets your wallet can get your Bitcoin. So I protected it with a good password, which I promptly forgot. But here's my attitude. I feel like it's basically a buy and hold strategy. If I had been able to sell that Bitcoin, I might have sold it when it was $400,
right,
$1,000. So by not being able to access it, I've been able to watch my investment grow.
And there's a possibility you can recover the password.
Someday.
Bad a shape as the guy who put his wallet on a portable hard drive.
Don't know anybody would do that.
And forgot the password.
Yeah.
And he has 10 chances to put in the right one before the hard drive erases, and he's used 8 of those.
Oh, so he's just sitting there looking at it. He says he's kind of become, he's accepting. He's accepting of it.
Yeah.
There is a guy in England who threw what was like $127 million in Bitcoin. Let's see, 7,500 Bitcoins. You do the calculations. It's a lot more. And it's in the town dump. He knows it's there. He knows it's there. He's been offering the town millions to help him recover it. What is 7,500 Bitcoin? What is 7,500 times 60,000? That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
An embarrassment of riches in more ways.
Yeah, embarrassing is the operative word. What can I do for you today?
Leo, in addition to all the normal monthly expenses the average person has, which now includes cell phone and home internet service, I also subscribe to some streaming services. Thanks to you, I also pay for iDrive and LastPass, and I'll probably get a paid email service at some point. Frankly, Leo, I can't, and I really don't want to pay rent for one more computer-related
I don't blame you.
So can you recommend an image editing application for the Mac that I can purchase, paid in full,
yes,
cash on the barrelhead,
yes,
and it's done? What do you like?
I can mention several. I think probably the one that is right now at the top of the heap is Pixelmator. And I don't know how much Pixelmator is right now. It's been discounted down to like $5. Pixelmator Pro, let me see. Maybe it's $20. It's not expensive. And as far as I know, it's a one-time purchase. Although what is happening lately is one-time purchase, $40. One-time purchase, but when you want version 8, it's going to cost you another $40. But I think 40 is fair.
Yeah, more than.
And it is very powerful.
Yep.
So that's for the Mac, probably one of the best. I use an older program I've been using forever that's even cheaper, which I highly recommend, which is called Acorn. And Acorn 7 just came out from Flying Meat Software. So it's on sale for half off. It's $20. And, it's a Pixelmator is more designed for people who are used to using Photoshop and power tools like that with layers and things like that. Acorn, I've used it for years to edit images for blog posts and stuff like that. It's quick editing. It's very powerful. It does layers and all that stuff. It does, curvy text and all sorts of stuff. So it really kind of depends what you're interested in doing. But I would look at either Acorn or Pixelmator. Both of them are excellent, both on Mac OS.
Thanks, Leo.
My pleasure. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, Lewis. You want to be my vice president?
sure. I don't know if I qualify.
There's no responsibilities to president, so vice president, probably even less.
You're not going to send me to the border to...
No. You don't have to do any of that.
Okay.
Lewis is referring to the fact that many moons ago I was elected president of the internet, which is, as far as I can tell, I don't even want to call it an honorary title. There's no honor at all. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and smart watches and automobiles and chip shortages and all that stuff. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. That's the number to call if you want to talk high tech with me. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still reach me, but you've got to use Skype or something like that to call. Our phone number, 8888 Ask Leo. The website, now that's a little different matter. You can do that from anywhere in the world. And that website is techguylabs.com. Everything's there, no sign up. We will give you a cookie pop-up that says, we use cookies, okay? Okay. Show of hands, how many people are tired of clicking the OK button on that stupid cookie banner? There's an example of an internet regulation that has done absolutely nothing for anybody. But can you imagine how many wasted human hours there are? Every website that works in the EU, and since the web is international, pretty much any website at all, unless they're going to block users from the EU, has to do this, have to warn you we use cookies. You know what? Everyone uses cookies. That's how come if you didn't use cookies, you'd have to log into the Facebook page every single time. Google wouldn't know it's you. You'd have to log in every single time before doing a search. If there were no cookies, you'd go to LL Bean and they wouldn't know what size you were. Cookies are how a website and it saves your user information. They don't save it themselves. They save it on your computer. It's a very convenient, intelligent strategy created years ago by Netscape to solve a very real problem, which is how do you get persistent information on the web? When somebody goes to a website and they come back again, how do you remember? With a game, you save the game, right? It's basically saved game for websites. And everybody uses it. So these silly cookie banners, give me a break. Cookies are not a problem. Can I just say, cookies are not a problem, but for legal reasons, because of, the EU, you got to have a cookie banner. So we'll have one. And all it will say is, hey, we use cookies. Like everybody else, we use cookies, okay? And there's usually a link to, a place where you can learn about cookies. And let me tell you, you don't need to learn about cookies. I just told you everything you need to know about cookies. 88 is so stupid. 8888 Ask Leo. And honestly, and I know you're going to be mad at me, but this is a consequence of all of the fear-mongering people have been putting out about privacy on the internet. That's where this comes from. We're so scared of the internet because it's our privacy. If you want to be private, don't use a smartphone, don't use the internet, don't use modern technology. I agree. It's too bad that advertisers decided that in order to, do something, nothing effective, they would need to know more about you and gather information about you. And so Facebook and Google and everybody else gathers information about you so they can give you ads for things you're interested in. Oh my, what a horrible thing. It's too bad they feel like they need to do that. I wish they didn't, but I don't think it's a harmful thing. And what is harmful, and you can see it, is this terror about this, and that's where this cookie banner comes from, and all of this stuff. Just calm down, everybody. Calm down. It's okay. Cookies are not a bad thing. And, we have cookies on that website, but they're not to track you. They're so that... Actually, I don't even think we use cookies, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think, what would we use them for? We don't. But we still have to put the button there. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I know. Oh, you got to be private. They know everything about you. So what? So what? Paige is on the line from Culver City, California. Hello, Paige. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
I'm worried about losing access to important emails. This last year I've had to do legal things online and via email. And I don't do anything that will have Google lock me out of Gmail, but
but there's always that risk, isn't there? We've heard stories. It's not very common of Google mistakenly blocking somebody or killing somebody's account. And if all your email is in Gmail, that's scary.
Yeah. And I have more than one Gmail account, so I could probably, go in that way. And I've heard you talk about fast mail.
Yeah, that's one of the many reasons I don't use Gmail. I use fast mail. I pay them. And it's not much. I can't remember what it is, maybe $5 a month or something. That was less than that. But I pay them, and for that reason, I believe they're much less likely to cancel my account. It doesn't cost Google anything to cancel your account. They just, in fact, it probably saves them money. So there are ways to back up Gmail, and I would strongly suggest doing that. Google has its own way. Okay. They call it Google Takeout. If you go to takeout.google.com, this is something Google did in the very early days quite rightly. They said, if we're going to store all this data for people, there needs to be an easy way for them to get it back. So they created takeout.google.com. Everything Google knows about you, you can download. All the photos from Google Photos, all the mail from Google Mail. But here's the rub. It may not be in an easily accessible format. It's text, but it's not really organized. They use a special file format called XML widely, and so you'd need. The truth is, it would reassure you if something highly unlikely like Google locking you out happened. By the way, it's more likely that you'd lock yourself out than Google's going to lock you out. It's easy to make mistakes in that regard, but you'd always have the data, and you could pay somebody, or you could figure out a way to get that, data into another email system. But that's one way to do it. Another way that I think might be better is to export. For instance, when I set up Fastmail, one of the first things I did is I had Fastmail go get my email from Gmail. And you can certainly do that. Now, Gmail is not going to let you get it all at once. That would kill the servers. So you get a chunk at a time, and it's spread out over maybe a few months, depending on. I had 11 years of Gmail, so it was took a long time, but I got it all. There are programs like Evernote that will do the same thing. Evernote is a very nice note-taking utility that has a tool that will allow you to import everything in Gmail into Evernote. At least then it's organized, right? Mm-hmm. It's in a notebook, which is really cool. There's a company called Backupify, which is a paid service, backupify.com, which will back up your variety of services, including Gmail. So in other words, there are a lot of ways to do it. In fact, if you just look up Gmail backup, you'll see all of the methods and many more. But you're very smart. Our email is really now, it's become a database of everything and every interaction that we've had. One of the things Gmail did that was smart is they said, don't ever erase it. In the old days, you erased your email every time you got it. And they said, no, just store it. We can search it. It'll be great. It'll be great. And they were right. There is good reason to keep all that mail. But don't keep it. You have to back it up. It's kind of the backup story. Just as you wouldn't keep anything on one single hard drive and one single provider, you don't want all your email in one single place. Back it up.
So how does Fastmail handle it?
Gmail lets you export all the mail. So Fastmail, it's not a special tool or anything. You just have Gmail send. I can't remember. I think you can tell Fastmail, import all my email from a web account, any account.
And then how do you get it from Fastmail?
Well, it's in Fastmail as your mailboxes now. So all of your mailboxes look like your Gmail mailboxes, and it's just like you were on Gmail, except it's another company holding it. So, and if Fastmail, any one copy of anything is always at risk. If Fastmail then said, "Oh yeah, you're a terrorist" or whatever, you'd lose that account. So you always want to have two different places for everything that's important.
Okay.
It's backup. It's really backup. It's the same concept all around, if that makes sense. Backupify is a backup solution. Gmail has Takeout. The problem with Takeout is you have to keep doing it. I would look at, Evernote, or if you set up another email system, you can have it automatically retrieve Gmail, so it'll always have it there. Mm-hmm. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the old mail that you want to get, and then you want to keep it up to date.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I have one more quick thing.
By the way, you could do that locally, too, with any email program. You could say, have an email program on your computer and say, download all my Gmail. Gmail would rate, they call it rate limiting. They would rate limit you, and so you wouldn't get it all at once, but over a period of time. Yes, one other question.
It's about email names. I heard a long time ago, don't use your name for your email address, and now I know everybody does that.
That's okay.
But so I did 2 words. It's as if it was blue.red.
Yeah, that's fine.
At Gmail.
Yeah.
But I get emails for blue-red. So I'm wondering, do they also get mine? Should I?
No, I don't. I think you're okay. That's interesting. You did red.blue, but you're getting mails for blue.red?
No, without the dot.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The dot, okay, this is a longer story, but dot is ignored. So red.blue is the same as red.blue.
Yeah.
It's the same address. No one else has got it. You have it.
But I get emails for other people that don't have the dot.
No, red.blue is the same as red.blue in Gmail talk. In fact, it's an email standard where the dot is ignored. It's a separator that is ignored. So you may be getting other people's emails. That's not unusual. That's kind of part of the reason why you don't want to use. So there's a guy named Jim. His email is jim@aol.com. He can't use that anymore because he gets so much mail to other people, to spam, so forth. Obviously, jim@aol.com, not a good email, right?
Right.
Your first last name might be okay. Here's maybe where you heard this. I use first last name. That's fine, or first name. In fact, if you own your own domain, firstname@lastname.com is a great little email address. A lot of people use that. Here's why you might not want to use it. If you have a common name, you're going to get a lot of spam. If spammers can guess an email address, they're going to use it. But we all get a lot of spam anyway, so what's the big deal? The other problem is people generally use their email for logins to websites, right? Mm-hmm. Or logins to your bank, or logins to apps. That's fairly easily guessable if you're using your name. Mm-hmm. So hackers, if they're trying to get your account, they have to get 2 things. They have to get the login, they have to get the password. 3 things if you use 2-factor. The more is better, obviously. So some security experts say don't use you might want a special email that's hard to guess for web logins. Or what I do is I have a domain, leo.email, let's say. It's not leo.email, but let's say it is. That's my domain. I registered it. I set it up, so it's my email address. You could send email to leo@leo.email, and it would go to me. But you could send email to anything at leo.email, and it would go to me. That's become very useful, because when I sign up for anything, when I got my Verizon account, the email was Verizon@leo.email. And Or you could use a random character string or whatever, because you're still going to get it. It's just going to be less guessable for the bad guys. So that's maybe where you heard that. There's two reasons not to use your real name. One, you might get more spam. Two, it's easily guessable.
Right. Okay. Very helpful.
Oh, I love that, because it's nice for me to be able to explain this, because I guarantee you lots of people are wanting exactly the same thing. So thank you, Paige. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Take care. Yeah, very common. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. Brian on the line from Nashville, Tennessee, our next caller. Hi, Brian.
How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit.
Oh,
what can I do for you, Brian?
You're supposed to have reached that age where you don't remember these things. I know I reached that age. Why haven't you?
So, Brian has a little game he plays that I have fallen for every single time, where he says, "How you doing?" I say, "Fine." "How you doing?" He says, "Go ahead, say it."
I'm hanging in like a hair in a biscuit.
Yeah, see? But I didn't fall for it that time.
No, you did not.
I have been making notes. Do not let Brian pull the wool over your eyes again. What can I do for you, Brian?
Well, I ordered some monitors for my M1.
Some monitors.
M1.
Monitors. Yes. More than one.
Before I tell you, yes, they're two 27-inch ones. My old ones were kind of, I don't want to say low end. They were, what were the brand name of these? They're GL 27-inch, GL 2760H. They are a kind of a, I don't always get the best of the worst.
Doesn't matter, you know. Nowadays, unless you're doing photo correction,
no.
You know, as long as you look at it and it's not fuzzy, I don't think color accuracy is a big deal.
Yeah, but if you've ever spent time on the internet trying to find out what's I wanted to stay. Since I work in IT, as you might remember,
yes,
8 to 10 hours a day behind a computer.
Yeah, multiple monitors is nice. I got to caution you: you can't just plug in two monitors into that M1.
Well, you can. You just have to do it different.
Yeah, you know that. Okay, I just wanted to warn you, when you get those monitors, there is a way to do it, exactly.
Yeah, it's wanky on the back of the...
It's wanky. That's a good way to put it.
The back of the Mac Mini...
Brian, I got to take a break. Hang on. Chris Marquardt, photo guy, coming up next. It's wanky. So you've figured that part out, because that was a big disappointment for a lot of people on these M1s is, wait a minute, I want 3 monitors.
Yeah,
do you have a...
You can do 2 real easy, but you have to use USB-C for one and HDMI for the other.
Different technologies, exactly. And so you have a Mac Mini, I take it.
Yes, I have the Mac Mini M1. And
very nice. Do you like it?
Oh, good. Are you kidding? Really, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not used to... I literally have 3 different screens on each monitor, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I click on something.
It's powerful.
Bam.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it does it. And we're already talking 16 gig of memory.
I know.
That's the highest model.
Well, that's why it's interesting, because these are the low end devices. Wait till we see the mid range and high end. I don't even know what's.
Tell me that. I don't feel like. As long as it stays like this, I don't need to buy it.
Yeah, right. Well, that's right. It depends what you need it for. I have the M1 PowerBook, and I love it. Love it.
Yes, I have that too. It's 13-inch though. It's a little small screen.
Right.
But
so we were talking earlier yesterday about that, and I think the 16 inches are imminent. Might even be announced this month, if not in June for sure.
But if and I know we're not online, but I don't care.
Well, we're on the podcast, and those people count a lot.
Right. Well, here's the thing though. So I did order 2. They're coming in tomorrow.
What kind you get? What kind you get?
I order these when my wife is at work.
My wife still doesn't know how much my new monitor costed. I ain't telling her.
But I did make a rule of roughly $400 or less.
That's fair.
I could go higher, but I can afford it. It's not a big deal. But but 8 to 10 hours a day. You know what? It's time to move up from these the ones I've got.
I look, keyboard, mouse, and monitor are the things you use all the time. those should always be good. You should never suffer.
I did end up with the MX Master for the mouse. I like that better.
Love the MX Master, Logitech's all-in-one beautiful wireless mouse.
And my newest keyboard that I've been trying for a week now is the DOS keyboard.
Isn't that great? I love the DOS keyboard.
This thing weighs like 3 pounds. It's metal.
Always a good sign in a keyboard. It should weigh a lot.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And going back 27 years, I'm used to the clackety clack. I love it. So.
Yeah.
These little tiny flat things.
Did you get the DOS keyboard that has the volume control?
The QS.
The dial volume control on it? I love that.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
So I ordered the two. Before I tell you what they are, I'm hoping you could tell me what might be the good ones to get. But there's so many. I didn't know. So I looked at Wirecutter. I like Wirecutter. I looked at theirs, but I wasn't going to spend $900. And it seems like what I want is nice, crisp text. I don't need a gamer.
But you ordered a monitor already, so you don't want me to tell you not to use that monitor. You already bought it.
I know. I can cancel it if I find out.
What did you get?
I ended up getting LG's Ultra Fine.
But those are amazing. You got the 5K or the 4K?
I got they're $405.
Yeah, you got the 4K. No, those are the ones Apple sells. Those are fine. Excellent choice.
Oh, good. That's what I was finding. Now I do have to use, and it luckily. You're
so funny, Brian. You already bought them. I'm not going to say, "Oh, Brian, I'm so sorry you bought those." But as it turns out, you got really, really good ones. Those are great.
Yes, and I hold on. Stop.
Monitors are cheaper than ever. Hey, Brian, I got to run because it's Marquardt time.
No problem.
Pleasure talking to you. Hang in there.
Thank you. I will. Bye-bye.
Bye. We'll have more with the tech guy in just a little bit. Our show today brought to you by Amazon Pharmacy. For years, I used PillPack. I loved PillPack. It was a really cool, high-tech method for delivering medications and vitamins and other things in pre-packed daily packages, so you never forget. You could have one for every hour of the day or whatever you need. It was very easy. I always loved PillPack. Amazon acquired them, and now PillPack powers Amazon Pharmacy. This is a really good time to use Amazon Pharmacy. Stay at home, get the medications you need mailed to you. It makes it easier on yourself, saves you time. Amazon Pharmacy works with your doctor, it works with your insurance, and it delivers the medication right to your door. Get the meds you need without leaving the house. One less errand for you and a lot more safety, let's face it. In fact, it's so convenient, even after quarantine's over, you're going to want to continue using it. I loved it, I have to say. Here's why Amazon Pharmacy is freaking amazing. It saves you time, of course, by delivering medication to your door. No more waiting in line at the pharmacy. It couldn't be easier. You can have your doctor's office just send the prescription straight to Amazon Pharmacy. They work with your doctor to make sure everything's accurate. Sometimes it's a little hard to read, sorry, Dr. Mom, hard to read the handwriting on the script. Don't worry, Amazon Pharmacy's got it, and you'll be getting exactly what you need. In fact, that's one of the cool things about the technology is it scans every prescription, every pill as it goes through, so they know you're getting exactly what you need. Yes, insurance works. Amazon Pharmacy works with most insurance plans nationwide, and if you don't have insurance, you'll save. Amazon Prime members get free 2-day delivery and discounts on prescription medication if you're not paying with insurance, so you save either way. Clear and understandable pricing is really important. A lot of times you bring in the prescription, you don't know what you're going to pay till you're at the register, and that's when the sticker shock happens. Not with Amazon Pharmacy. You will know the price before you order. That's really great. They show you the insurance copay. They show you the price without insurance. You can make the right decision. And, of course, your medical information, absolutely private, absolutely secure. They never share your personal health data outside the pharmacy. It's completely HIPAA compliant. You can always speak with a pharmacist. They're on staff 24/7, whether you have questions or just need advice. Amazon Prime members can save on prescription medication when not using insurance and get free 2-day delivery. Amazon.com/techguy. Couldn't be a better time to try Amazon Pharmacy out. Amazon.com/techguy. Amazon.com/techguy. Thank you, Amazon. Now back to the show. He ain't gonna take your Kodachrome away. He's Chris Marquardt. He's a film guy at heart. Chris is our photo sensei. In fact, his website is sensei.photo, SENSEI.photo, where he does photo, counseling, coaching, counseling. What is the other C? And correcting. Hello, Chris.
Hello. How are you doing today?
I am doing really, really well. Chris, I always leave this to the end. I want to say it up front. Has the best podcasts. He has one on film. Well, you have a book on film photography. You have a podcast on the future of photography, which is like the opposite. And you also have, of course, one of the longest running photography podcasts of all, Tips from the Top Floor, TFTTF.com. And you probably have some German language podcasts as well, I would guess.
Oh yeah, there's the Happy Shooting, which funny enough, it has an English title, but is a German show.
How would you say Happy Shooting in German?
Frohes Schießen, which doesn't sound.
No, that's not a good name for a podcast. So today we're going to talk about clouds.
Yes, because how often have you taken a photo of just a photo of a landscape where the clouds are kind of a bit of an afterthought? Happens to me all the time, right?
I always regret it because then I get home, I look at the picture and I go, oh, this is boring. I wish I had better clouds.
Yeah, and I'm here today to bring our attention to this kind of a bit underappreciated phenomenon in the sky, because clouds are integral to many photographs, not just landscape shots, but others. And of course, you have clouds or you don't have clouds. So that's a choice that you can't make, that's been made for you. But if you have clouds, they come in so many different shapes and forms. There are dark ones, big ones, small ones, bright ones. They're thick, they're thin, they're wispy, some look threatening. And before I take a shot, nowadays I make a decision: are the clouds nice? Do I want them in the shot or not? It's an important decision. How do you frame the shot? Do you include more of the sky? Do you include less of the sky? So are they important? And just looking at the sky is probably going to be relatively easy to tell if those clouds are nice or not.
So it's interesting because I'm seeing these pictures like this one, which is a fairly overcast day, but it's a beautiful kind of contrast of the blue cloud sky with the green of the fields and the tree, the red barn. It's a beautiful picture, even though the clouds are not that interesting. Would you say that's a failure? You included it in your gallery.
No, I'm not calling that a failure, but clouds can be a very interesting compositional element. Like in landscape photography, they can act as a frame, or they can form lines towards a subject. They can be a visual balance to something. So if you want balance, then you might want to think of, okay, this at the bottom is the landscape, this at the top are the clouds. How can they balance each other out? Or if you don't really have very strong clouds, then the whole visual weight will be somewhere else, which, again, there's no good or bad. I'm not judging. Clouds aren't necessarily a good thing, but if the clouds are there, I try to incorporate them in the shot in a good way.
Just to be aware of them is a huge start, right?
Yes, that the awareness is the first step. And then, of course, depending on where you are, things can completely change. Your position towards the clouds, normally we're below the clouds. The clouds are above us and they do something with the light. But we could be on top of a mountain or in an airplane and be above the clouds.
Right. That's interesting. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
I do remember years ago I was on top of what's that, Mount Tamalpais?
Oh yeah, down the road a piece.
Looking down at San Francisco and the clouds or the fog, but it is clouds rolling into the valley over the mountains, and it was just such an amazing sight from the top and such great photography up there. So if you have something like that nearby, Yes, and it's wonderful. It's beautiful. Clouds make color, and if you look at the clouds, if you look at what the sun does with clouds, sun might hit the clouds. If the sun is low, sometimes the sun is under the clouds and it hits them from below and it lights up those edges. And depending on the time of day, the sun might give very warm light, so you end up with clouds that have these really warm edges. And if you contrast this with a blue sky, then you have this strong color contrast in the sky. So that is something that I often look out for. A completely different thing about clouds is they have motion, and if you manage to take a long exposure of clouds, which you can do by, for example, using an ND filter. It's like sunglasses for your camera. It brings the light down without changing the colors. Then you can expose during the daytime, maybe several seconds or even longer, and get clouds that turn into streaks that show you the motion.
Oh, that's cool. So I love that. We do that with water. Do it with clouds. They're like water in the sky.
Try it with clouds and watch the direction where the clouds come from. For example, if the clouds go towards you or come from you, then you will get the very nice perspective thing. If the clouds go sideways, then that will look very different.
You might have to wait a while depending on how fast the clouds are moving, right?
Landscape photographers need to be patient.
They're patient people, yes.
The typical way a landscape photographer will approach a shot is they will set up a tripod, they will frame the shot, everything perfect, everything is in its place, and then they look at the clouds and say, okay, this shot would be better if that cloud was a bit over there. Oh, I'm lucky it's moving that way. So let me wait for 10 minutes until it's there and then take the shot. So patience in landscape photography, important thing to have. Very important.
I remember, and I see these pictures all the time on my photo frame because it was almost exactly 10 years ago, going to Tasmania with a bunch of very talented photographers, and it was overcast the whole 2 weeks. And I was so bummed because I really wanted I like landscape, and I really wanted it's beautiful landscape there, but I missed the clouds.
With overcast, you have these minute differences in the brightness in clouds. And here's a trick. If you put those into Lightroom and if you pull the dehaze slider up, that dehaze slider will find the minute differences in brightness and exaggerate them and still get some detail out of those clouds. Just don't overdo it because it'll look very artificial very soon. But in general, that's a good thing to look for. The dehaze slider.
Okay.
Maybe use it in a brush so it doesn't do all the picture, but just the sky. So there's lots of ways to
painting your own.
To selectively use that. Yes.
And then there's always Luminar AI, which will put clouds in any picture. I don't like that though, because I know people are going to look at it and go, "I've seen those clouds before."
I like real clouds.
Real clouds are a lot better. Clouds. It's kind of cheating. Yeah. Clouds are beautiful. Take some pictures, do some clouds. And by the way, while you're out there, this would be a good time to take some pictures of you. You, that's the subject this month for our photo assignment, YOU. Now, we don't tell you what that means. You can decide what you want to do with you. But we do want you to take pictures. That's the whole point of this. Once you get a picture that represents the idea you in a way you think is interesting, upload it to Flickr. That's a photo sharing site. It's free. That's where we live. We have a great group there of Tech Guy listeners. It's the Tech Guy group. About 13,000 people in there, many thousands of photos. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will welcome you. Upload your picture, but make sure you tag it TGYOU so we know it's for the Tech Guy show. In about 3 weeks, Chris will be taking 3 of them and talking about them on the air. You are the subject. Chris Marquardt is at sensei.photo, SENSEI.photo. And don't forget his fabulous podcast and his books. Your film photography book, your wide-angle book, they're great. You. Sometimes no clouds. Just a moon and stars. I love this.
Which can also be nice.
This is some of these particular pictures are just gorgeous. I really like this one.
Yeah, I really enjoy before a show. I mean, those are shots taken by others on Flickr, and I love that 20 minutes of scouting photos for our segment. Yeah,
I bet. Do you just like search?
Looking at photos is fun in general.
You just search for clouds on this one and look what you find. And
I look for clouds and for shapes in clouds, and I went mostly through Explore, flickr.com/explore, which
it's amazing.
Brings up some of the better photos, so that's a good source for inspiration and for finding pictures of clouds.
I have a widget on my iPhone that is the Flickr Explore tab, so I always have a nice image from Flickr on my iPhone.
Beautiful.
It's pretty. And there's some clouds in that one. Chris, thank you as always.
Thank you.
We'll talk again in a week.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Till then.
Bye-bye. I think we all have converged on the Audio Technica AT. Is it Scooter X has it? AT. Is it the AT 2020 X 2200? What was it? I can't remember. Anyway, it's on the show notes from today because we were talking about it again today. Yeah, I don't use Instagram, don't use Facebook, don't use WhatsApp because I hate that company. I don't use Twitter because it's just a slum of outrage and stupidity. But I have an Instagram account. There it is, ATR2100X. Thank you. Micah, thank you. But I do keep the Instagram and Twitter accounts because then I can read. I use them read only. I can read. Sometimes we, like we'll be Andy and Ak will be on, and people will mention his pictures, and so I'll show his account and stuff like that. And you can't do much if you don't have an account. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I actually love this song. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Brian's on the line from Mission Viejo, California. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Leo. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Hey, I've had a problem for like 2 years straight, and it's driving my wife and I crazy. So
wow, it's about time you called. Isn't it funny how technology, there's all these little irritants, and it's death by 1,000 paper cuts because it's like, well, I'll put up with that, I'll put up with that, I'll pull that. Pretty soon, it's just a miserable experience. So what can I help you fix?
So I found this, off-brand, who knows who made it, driveway alarm system off Amazon a few years back. It comes with like a little hub you plug inside the house, and you get like 3 or 4 motion sensors that run off radio frequency. And the hub is also connected to my Wi-Fi. So if the motion sensor trips, the hub inside the house, goes nuts and wakes us up in the night, which is good,
I guess.
And
unless you have visitors from, the furry regions, and it's just a pet or an owl, but still, I guess.
I've moved the sensors around like 50 times.
You figured out a way so it should only be people.
Yes.
Yes.
But the problem is the hub always goes nuts when the motion sensors see something, which is good. But what's not working is we're supposed to get push notifications. And sometimes, like, my phone will stop sending notifications and my wife will get them on her phone because she has the app. And then sometimes just I'll get them, and sometimes neither of us will get notifications. So I don't know what to try because it's kind of a simple problem, but I don't know,
So you don't have the app?
No, we both have the app.
Yeah, you'd have to have the app. The push notifications come from the app.
Yeah.
So you'd have to have the app.
But
is your wife on the same kind of phone as you?
Yeah, we both have iPhones.
Okay. So one thing, push notifications can be a little tricky. It could be that device, this kind of oddball device that you found. But it might also just be, just kind of the way it is. I have a Nest Cam monitoring my driveway, and I get far too many apps. And the Nest Cam, which is a little, higher priced, it's from Google, among other things, will say, I hear voices. I see movement. And the thing that you did by adjusting your camera, you can do with an S-Cam by saying there are zones. So this zone, I only want notifications if somebody's in this zone or this zone. So you can actually map out what it sees and say, only tell me if there's somebody right here. Things like that. And it's been very consistent with the notifications. But iPhone could be part of the problem. Remember, iPhone is very aggressive about shutting down background apps. So it may be, for instance, have you tried it if you open the app and then make some movement, does it always work?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just strange. It's like it'll work, for a month and then it just completely stops.
Generally, the way push notifications work is, you have to let the iPhone has to allow it. So you've got to check the settings for that app, make sure that that's all turned on. I'm sure you've done that. Then the app itself has to receive the information, which means it has to be running in the background. And iPhones are very aggressive about shutting apps down in the background. So the company then has to set up another alert service that doesn't require the app to be running in the background, and that may be failing. The fact that your wife would get it sometimes and you wouldn't tells me that it's not the camera and then the way the camera's working is still working because somebody's getting an alert. It's just that for some reason you're not both getting the alert, right?
Yeah. So a question I've kind of had in the back of my head this whole time is like when the hub is supposed to send us a notification, does that need to go through the company that made this product first?
Yes. That's exactly right. So what happens is the hub is connected to the camera and connected to the internet. The camera notifies the hub. The hub then goes out on the internet, sends it to the company, which then sends it to the app, which then wakes up your phone. So that's the path of that. It's not talking directly to your app.
Okay, so if this is like some small-time China company that you can't even buy this product.
Yeah, they may be inconsistent. That's right. That could also be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. As I said, the Nest works, I would say 100% of the time. In fact, I would say it works too well because I get way too many notifications. I even get on my Apple Watch. But for the times you're not home, you really want to know what's going on, that's a really great thing. So maybe it's time to get a better camera. Yeah, maybe that the company's inconsistent. As you can see, there's a number of failure points. Sounds like the camera, since your wife's getting it and you're not, sounds like the camera's working, the company's servers are working, the push notifications are going out. In that case, the culprit probably is the app. And it may be that your wife has checked hers more recently and it's still been running in the background and yours isn't, something like that. It's a complicated, as you can see, it's a complicated chain of stuff.
Yeah. Do you know of any other security systems that we have a decent sized property, so I'm worried about using like a Wi-Fi sensor that's too far away. That's kind of why I like the radio frequency connection. Yeah.
That's, by the way, another cause of spottiness, right? Because the hub and the camera have to have perfect communication all the time. The clue, though, is that your wife got it and you didn't. If neither of you got it, which I'm sure happens sometimes, then you might look at the camera to hub connection or the Chinese company reliability. But if one of you is getting it and the other one's not, then it's something more local. There are a lot of other choices. We have, but you want something that is not Wi-Fi, is what you say.
Well, I like something where I can put sensors in different places.
I mean, the communications to the hub is going to have the same distance, somewhat of the same distance limitations, unless it's got a very powerful transmitter in the camera. How far is the farthest point you'd want to put a camera?
Well, we live on a corner lot, so we kind of have like this hill behind our house.
Right.
And we've got a sensor at the bottom of the hill. And from what they advertise with the system, the radio frequency can go half a mile.
Yeah, it's possible. You put a big enough transmitter. How do you power it? Is it battery powered?
The hub or the sensors?
The sensor.
The sensors run off 2 AA's and they last
Okay.
I can't remember the last time I've replaced them. I guess because the radio frequency requires so much less power than having it, you know, Wi-Fi sensor.
Yeah, and it's probably a very low frequency, probably 800 megahertz, 700 megahertz, which means it could go farther and go through walls and stuff like that. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. I'm sure there are. I'll leave it open to the audience in the chat room for a radio connected hub that could go. Give me a 100 feet, 600 feet, 1,000 feet. Pretty far.
No,
half a mile,
like 300 to 500 feet.
Okay, yeah, that's farther than Wi-Fi would go in most cases. So I don't know on the top of my head, but I'm sure somebody will let us know. And watch the website techguylabs.com for updates and keep listening. Somebody might call in. I'm just not familiar with anything. That's interesting. So you want. And it doesn't have to be a camera, obviously, because that's too much bandwidth. You just want something that's going to go, something's moving out here. So a motion detector. A wire.
And we like the push. We like push
with good push notifications. Yeah. See, that's why I like a camera. I want to know. You don't know. You have no way of knowing. Something's out there, right? Could be a raccoon.
We do have a wired.
You have a camera there later. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, driveway alarm systems, and more. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. After that, outside that area, you could still reach us, but you have to use Skype or something like that. Shouldn't cost you anything, though. It's toll free everywhere. 8888 Ask Leo, website where everything goes, including links to some alarm systems that should help our last caller. Go to the website, techguylabs.com, and that's free. No sign up. Chat room's been doing research, and they've come up with a category name. That always helps when you're doing Google searches. Our caller had a corner property in a fairly distant area that he wanted a sensor, motion sensor, not a camera, motion sensor, wireless, that would then alert him and his wife on their smartphones. Turns out this is a category called driveway alarm systems. Driveway alarm systems. Oh, okay. Interesting. That'll help you in your search. The chat room has come up with one company that makes a very well-reviewed system. I haven't tried it, so I'm, just a place to look. The website is MyHoSmart. I know. I think there's a language issue. I don't know. MyHoSmart.com. That's the name of the company, HoSmart. They say they're former Motorola engineers. They have wireless systems that go a great distance. Here's the drawback. It doesn't look like they have an app. Although, it's my suspicion, the problem our caller was having is the app wasn't notifying him. It sounded like the hub was working all right, and it would do the alarm, but not the app. And I think that's how this HoSmart works. It's the alarm on the hub that you're going to hear. There doesn't seem to be an app, but that may be that may be why, because it's hard to do that consistently. But these look pretty good. They're not expensive. You can get a one sensor unit for around $60, and at least give it a try. But the chat room's coming up with some other solutions as well. So driveway alarm systems, turns out that's the category. That's the thing with Google. If you know what to search for, you can find anything. The trick is knowing how to craft the search. And the big first step is knowing what the name is for this kind of thing that you're looking for. Once you know, it's a driveway alarm system, now you're going to see hundreds of choices from a lot of companies. And yes, HoSmart is one of them. Don't know where that name came from. My guess is they're not English speakers, and so they don't really. It's probably founded by a guy named Mike Ho, and he just called it My HoSmart, and that made sense at the time. Lynn is on the line from Selmar, Tennessee. Our next caller. Hi, Lynn.
Hey, Leo.
Welcome.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How you doing?
I got up this morning. That's good.
That's a good start.
That's a good thing. Hey, you're the T-Mobile expert now.
Well, I'm not sure I'd qualify as expert, but I use them, yeah.
Yeah. All right. What about, it rolled out this week, been reading some about it, about the home internet.
Yeah. This is really interesting. Every carrier offers something like this. The idea is, and partly they're responding to the market because people realize that their high-speed internet on their phone, their LTE connection, or sometimes even the 5G connection, was better than their home internet. And so a lot of people try to use it. The problem is if you're using the LTE designed for a smartphone, it usually has some pretty severe bandwidth caps that make it kind of unusable. They don't want you to use it for residential. And they sell a much more expensive service. Verizon does this, AT&T does this, and now T-Mobile. But T-Mobile's got a little slice because they're T-Mobile. So it's $60, which is about what you'd pay for high-speed internet from a cable company. Right. But they say there's no bandwidth cap. This is designed for residential use.
Right.
Now, it's not yet available in my area. They're rolling it out, though, so as soon as it is, I'm going to order it because I'm very curious. But the people who've had it for a while, including some tech publications like CNET, have been very impressed.
I read theirs, and I put in my information, and they're saying it's available in this area.
What are your other choices, I guess?
Nobody but Spectrum. Well, I got AT&T. But
that could be a bumper sticker. Anybody but Spectrum, right? So Spectrum's the cable company.
Me out. I mean, it's just getting ridiculous.
I agree. And that's really what T-Mobile sees as an opportunity. They're not alone. Wireless internet is about to take off because of Elon Musk's Starlink, which is satellite-based, and other companies. I think people have realized there's a real opportunity here. Although I got to point out, Starlink is $100 a month, which is more than Spectrum, I'm sure.
Right.
Cable will almost always be your fastest, most consistent performance because the cable company has that big fat pipe into your house. It was intended for television, but it works very well for data. But if it's too much, or you don't like the company, or you don't have it available where you are, I think cellular internet is the next big thing. And I think T-Mobile's decided we're going to get in on it early, so take advantage of it. I see no reason not to try it. I'm sure they have a trial period, a week or 2 weeks.
Right. No contract. That's another.
I love that. And by the way, unlike some of these other guys, they don't charge you for the equipment.
Right. That's another thing.
Yeah, which is a big deal. So, because that equipment can be expensive. So I wouldn't hesitate. I'm going to order it as soon as I can. The last time I checked availability, the whole thing crashed. I am a T-Mobile customer, and it is just now rolling out. But I've talked to some people who've used it in beta, the early release, and they seem to really be very happy with it.
Well, that's the only thing. Spectrum, I'm well pleased with the service, and of course it supplies. I'm using their apps, through Roku and all that. And
this is what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't cancel Spectrum until you've tried the T-Mobile and are satisfied with it.
That's what I was checking with you about there.
Yeah.
But I do know this. I can get out. I've been with them so long, and of course they're hard to deal with now. Used to, you could kind of threaten them a little bit.
How much do they charge you?
Well, I've got the full package.
Well, that's the problem, and they bundle that all together, so you can't really tell what internet would cost you.
Right.
And in fact, you're going to find that even if you cut out internet, you may not save as much as you thought, because these guys are basically monopolies, and they just take you for a ride as best they can.
I'm sure it won't, but I can go in at least go back in a new customer, keep it a month or so.
Yeah, whatever the trial, I would try it, and just to make sure that you're not mixing it up with the Spectrum, disconnect the Spectrum before you try it, just to make sure it'll work.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's what I was wanting to find out, and I thought maybe you'd done.
I can't. I would have it right now, but in fact, I just checked while we were talking. I still can't get it. It's only in 30 million households right now.
Right.
But T-Mobile has always been very aggressive. in pricing. They're the ones who really forced Verizon and AT&T to restructure their pricing. Because they had this young upstart company that was really pushing them hard. Now T-Mobile is, because of the Sprint acquisition, at the same size as AT&T and Verizon. Effectively, I hope they continue to stay the young upstart pushing the other guys hard.
The AT&T, their thing is what they're told me about on it. I can't do but one TV.
Yeah, that's no good. That's no good.
That's out of the question there.
There's going to be almost always lots of fine print on these deals because it's very easy to overwhelm the cell tower that's providing you with the internet.
Right.
You're one of the reasons they're offering it to you and they're not offering it to me. You're in a rural area, I'm guessing, in Selmar?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So the density of the population is such that they don't have to worry about overwhelming that cell tower as much. So it's my guess. Plus, frankly, rural areas are a prime market because you're underserved by everybody else.
And, of course, the big push now is to get into the rural.
That's right. We need internet.
COVID.
Yeah, we need internet everywhere. It's not a luxury anymore because it's how we do business in this country, especially with schools coming in through Zoom and work and all that. It's just this is rapidly becoming a necessity. So my opinion is I like T-Mobile. I like how aggressive they are. I wonder if that's going to change now that they're one of the big guys and John Ledger, who was their legendary long-haired CEO, is gone. I'm certain that he was a big part of why they were so innovative and aggressive. But maybe that culture persists, and they're going to continue to do that, and I hope so. And
on their coverage, Matt, the shows were covered. I mean,
that's the other thing.
But I'm just wondering if that's.
You don't know until you do it, unless you have a T-Mobile phone.
Yeah.
Do you? No. Yeah, you don't know until you do it. This is always, we talked about this with a caller yesterday saying, I look at the coverage map on these sites. Look at T-Mobile's website. It's all magenta everywhere.
That's right.
That's not exactly true, There are pockets where you can't get it. So that's another unknown. That's another reason why you absolutely, on any of these, you want to try before you buy. You find out what the trial period is and then use it like crazy in that trial period. Try to do everything you can think of to see if it does what you want.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, Leo, appreciate the info.
Lynn, call back and let us know if you do it, okay? And give us a review. I'd love that. Yeah.
All right.
I have very good internet from my cable company. I don't really need another provider, but having redundancy is not bad in my business, right? And as soon as I can sign up for it, I at least want to review it. I hold high hopes. I'm hoping that this is going to be as good as it promises. They really want to get into this business. And they're smart. Now's the time before Elon Musk comes along and says, hey, I can wire you up for less. By the way, this is all good. This competition is what keeps prices low and keeps innovation high. And the real problem in this country is we haven't had competition for internet. Every market, there's one cable company, one phone company, and that's pretty much it. And as a result, this duopoly has allowed them to raise prices kind of without any limit and reduce service without any limit. And now we're getting some competition. That's a good thing. It's going to keep people on their toes. That's what T-Mobile did to Verizon and AT&T, and now they're doing it to Spectrum, and I'm rooting for them. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. If you want to talk about high tech, that's what we do here. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. Our musical coordinator here, the fabulous Professor Laura. Thank you, Laura, for doing such a great job. I didn't get to thank you yesterday, so thank you twice today. Wonderful music. Rod Pyle, our space guy, coming up. But first, Jim in Glendale, California. He's our next caller. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Leo. How are you today?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Well, I'm great, but I got a low-tech problem or an old problem. I have some software that I have from Garmin that runs a GPS that I use.
Okay.
It's most likely 15 years old, and
those maps are getting a little long in the tooth, eh?
Well, but it works perfectly.
Yeah.
It's easy to use, and I understand it. The GPS itself, they don't make anymore, but it works perfectly. It connects to I can connect it to my desktop.
It's the handheld Garmin?
It's a 276C. It's a handheld marine unit that I use on my motorcycle.
Marine unit, okay.
I've been all over the United States and Alaska with this thing, and it's amazing. And it still works perfectly.
And the last version of the software came out May 13th, 2013.
So the question, here's the problem. The 276C, when I hook it to my computer, the computer sees it in devices. It's there.
Yeah.
The software is MapSource.
Oh, good old MapSource. Man, I loved that. Yeah.
It runs a program called City Navigator North America. And that program is what I use to plan my routes around the United States on my motorcycle.
Right.
It's wonderful. The problem I'm having is that when I try and download or upload from the device, my 276C, which my desktop sees in the device box, the MapSource does not connect to it. It doesn't make that connection. It doesn't go boop, boop, and it's there. And I'm thinking maybe it's because my computer now runs Windows 10 Pro, and maybe MapSource, this old program, needs Windows 7.
It could be, and if that's the case, then when you can right-click on it and open it in compatibility mode and see if that will work. Because sometimes it's just as dumb as, what version are you? I never heard of Windows 10. Must be old and not run. And
where would I right-click on something?
You need. Let me see. Let me see how you do it in Windows 10. This is something that's been around since Windows 7, actually. It was originally used for Windows XP. Mm-hmm. Let me see how you do it in Windows 10. I haven't done this in a long time. So,
wow.
Yeah. So you don't want to right-click on the shortcut to the app. You want to right-click on the app itself. So the start menu will work if you see it in your start menu. That's that one you can use.
I see in my start menu, I've got Garmin.
Yeah, you see the MapSource software, right? Or no?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Right-click on that, Properties, and in the Properties, there's a Compatibility tab. I think that still works in Windows 10. Now, that may solve it. If it doesn't, Garmin's saying that the Basecamps, do you use their Basecamp software?
Oh, but Leo, and I know what Garmin said, but I would tell you that Garmin's phone support is marvelous. The people will spend as much time as you need.
That's nice.
They're as kind as they can be.
But I hear a but coming.
Well, because Basecamp isn't nearly as good.
Yeah.
It's easy to use.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Rod Pyle coming up. Why is it always the bottom of the hour that's not? Do you have to do something to remember that, or you can't cue it? Okay. I should have watched the clock. It's not your fault. I'm just the sound. The sound is my belt and suspenders. Anyway, so you say, so we're still on. We just had to take a break, Jim.
I can hear you, and I appreciate you staying on.
Sure.
When I
Basecamp is not good. In other words,
you know what I did? I left clicked on me.
Yeah, right button.
See, there. Okay, there's my maps. There's the MapSource icon.
Right click on that.
And it takes me to all I see.
You should see a pop-up menu if you're right-clicking on it.
I did, and I see pin start, more, uninstall, and then a lot of recent routes that I planned.
And do you see properties at the very bottom?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Oh, man. Maybe they changed this. It's the problem with Windows 10. It's a moving target.
If I click on more, I get it's pin taskbar run as administrator in open location.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they don't have it anymore. Let me see. Windows compatibility mode. Windows 10. See if there's another way to do it. Select and hold or right-click the program file. This is Microsoft saying this. This should work.
Well, when
you might be.
Click on the start. When I click on the start menu, I get a thing that has all. You scroll up and down in alphabetical order.
Yeah, that should be it. It says also, Microsoft says in the search box on the taskbar, type the name of the program, map source, select and hold or right-click it, and open file location. So this will get you to the actual program file. This doesn't work with an alias, and it may be, or a shortcut, and it may be that it's a shortcut in the menu as well. So you need to actually get to the one that's in the, programs folder.
So I need to go.
So you can do that by searching for map source in the taskbar. When you then right-click on it and select Open File Location. That's going to take you to the actual program file. Then you can right-click it and select Properties and Compatibility.
So if I select map source here.
Now, the problem is it may not solve this, but it depends on how dumb map source is. This only works if applications are foolishly looking for, they're searching for Windows 7 and they don't know about Windows 10 because they're so old, and they see 10, they go, well, I don't know what that is. Probably Windows 1.0 we can't run.
Is there any way to have Windows 10 Pro on my computer, which is the one that Apple updates and all that stuff, or Microsoft updates, and also have somewhere on my computer?
You can have a virtual machine. This is the other way to do it. In fact, might be the better solution. Try the compatibility mode first. That's easy. But you can also run a virtual machine like OneBox and install Windows 7 into that, and then only use map source in Windows 7. Garmin Express, have you tried that?
Yeah, I have.
You don't like Basecamp or Garmin Express. You got to have map source.
Well, when you say Garmin Express, I mean, Garmin Express opens when I put my Garmin golf watch to it. I mean,
Oh, okay. It won't do what you want to do.
No.
I am out of time. Try the compatibility mode, but otherwise look up virtualization. You can do a virtual version of Windows 7 and Windows 10. He's up there somewhere burning down his fuse. Our rocket man, Rod Pyle, author Space 2.0, editor-in-chief of Ad Astra magazine, the official magazine of the National Space Society, former JPL communications guy. He is a space guy. And today, he's going to show some ingenuity. Hello, Rod.
Great introduction. How are you?
You've not been in space?
Not even close.
Not even close. Would you, if somebody came along and said, look, we'll buy your seat, you can go up in Prosperity 4 or whatever it was, would you do it?
Probably. But I'd have to test myself in the spacecraft because I do have a touch of claustrophobia, and that's not a good thing to have when you're going to be spending 3 or 4 days in space like that crew is.
Yeah.
They're going to be up there for a long time in a small. I mean, the SpaceX Crew Dragon is big inside. It's almost as big as the flight deck of the shuttle, not quite, but that's the small upper deck.
It's not like deck, though. I mean, they say it's big for a spacecraft.
Yeah, it's not Gemini or Soyuz. I mean, you get in a Soyuz capsule. You see those guys in there, the pictures of them.
Are they walking
around? Shoulder to shoulder with all this stuff. Packed in next to them, and they can barely move. And I remember talking to an astronaut about that, and he said, well, we're all pretty thoroughly tested before we go, because if somebody flips out in there, there's nowhere to go.
That wouldn't be
you
good.
Are stuck, man.
And
so,
can you know if you're going to get space sickness before you go? I mean, is that, or it seems like people find out sometimes in flight.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell, and it's most of it has to do with the inner ear being confused about what's going on, because of course we're all
no gravity.
Evolutionarily adapted to gravity. You start turning your head in space, and if you're not well suited for that, you can get sick. And even veteran astronauts sometimes spend a day or two in the barf bag.
Not feeling too good.
Not good. Yeah.
But I'm sorry. I'm distracting from the main event because the beautiful, amazing story of Perseverance, the Mars rover, wandering around on Mars once again. What is that, our third Mars rover? Pretty amazing.
1, 2, 3, 4, fifth.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now, for the first time ever, this thing has a little helicopter on it. In fact, it dropped it 4 inches from the bottom. It drove away. That was last week. And now Ingenuity, is today the day?
Well, it was supposed to be. So it was supposed to happen tonight. And the test before that was just driving away, and it drove up to a little overlook. The rover drove up to a little overlook and left the helicopter. And they wanted to make sure that the helicopter could stay safe on the surface, because it can plunge down to, minus 130, minus 135 below 0 Fahrenheit on the Martian surface. So it's got a little heater in it, but the rover was keeping it at about 45 degrees Fahrenheit. The onboard heater is substantially less than that because it's just powered by that little solar panel. So they wanted to make sure it would survive a couple of nights, which it did.
Good.
And so they did a spin-up test of the blades a couple of days ago, but there was some kind of error indicated in the software. There's a timeout occurred. So I don't know, and I've been crawling through the JPL website and so forth, trying to figure out if it was a speed issue or just a software issue. And let's remember that this thing, I keep telling you about how old the processors are on these spacecraft. This is using a Qualcomm Snapdragon 801. So
that's pretty cool. Smartphone processor.
Chip, but it's right off the shelf.
Wow.
So, so want to make sure that's going to survive. So they're doing checks. And they just want to make very sure, because let's remember, this thing flies autonomously. It's almost 15-minute radio delay now each way. So once they give the go-ahead, it's got to cycle up and be ready to do its thing. It'll fly for about 40 seconds, look around, take a bunch of images, come down, and then load that up to the rover. The rover then loads it up to one of the orbiters, and then the orbiter sends it back to Earth. So there's a lot of steps to complete, and it has to do most of that by itself. So they're just being extra careful and
as they should be. As they should be. We are so spoiled.
Yes.
We forget what a long shot everything they're doing is.
Yeah. Especially this, because this is really, up until about 2015, they've been working on this for a while and testing it in vacuum chambers and so forth, because the Martian atmosphere is only about 1% of ours in terms of density. And it wasn't doing so well at first. It was coming down on the side and had all kinds of gyrations and so forth. And in fact, I think I might have mentioned to you before, I was at a press conference. They announced this at Caltech. And as we were filing out of the room, the JPL people at the door stopped us and said, you can't report on this tonight. I said, what do you mean? That's why you have press conferences. They said, well, it hasn't been officially released yet, so we'll call you in a couple of days. So they did, to their credit, and got the news out. But it's brand new. And this could be the whole new beginning of planetary exploration on any planet that's got an atmosphere of any kind.
It's kind of amazing because the air is so thin.
Yeah.
The rotors on this, there's two rotors, right? Dual rotors.
Right. Yeah.
Have to rotate very, very, very fast.
Yes.
Just to get the lift.
Yeah. And the thing only weighs 4 pounds.
They know, though,
motor in there,
all of that's going to work. They know that even though they couldn't test it on Mars, they know there's enough lift. It's not going to. See, every time. Okay, I'm a little jaded because every time I fly a drone, something wrong happens. The first drone, it just went straight up and never came down. And that would be drastic, horrible thing if that happened to Ingenuity. And so they know that it's going to reliably perform and it's going to get up in the air and all that. They're just checking the systems to make sure there was no damage in transit, there was no damage when it was dropped, that everything's working, that the high heat and the high cold haven't damaged things like that.
Yeah, and you want to make sure it comes down on its legs because it's just got the 4 legs below. They looked at a bunch of different configurations, but that was really the best they could come up with. And you want it to come down on its feet, of course.
Wait a minute. I thought 3 legs was better than 4. You're saying 4 legs was the best they could do.
3 legs are good enough, but they're not as stable if it comes down an angle.
There should be. It's hard to believe that.
Should be 8.
It seems like in all this time, we've been on the planet for tens of thousands of years. We've not come up with anything better than a 4-legged table. But that's the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a friend of mine, a guy named Pascal Lee.
What about the Weebles Wobbles and they never fall down?
Well,
what
I was just going to say.
A Weeble Wobble bottom.
There is something like that in the works called Globetrotter that a friend of mine's been working on with JPL, which is completely encased, as designed anyway, in composite rods, but it's jet powered. So it's designed for going down and exploring caves and caverns on Mars and the moon. But no matter what orientation it comes back in, it like you're saying, the Weebles, it will roll back to dead center because of the weight offset.
See, I'm a genius. So I should be a space designer.
You should be at JPL. They might take exception to your broadcast schedule.
Yeah,
but you're right. Probably work it out.
So they're saying now, what, the earliest Wednesday?
Wednesday, yeah. And they'll probably then have a press conference in the wee hours of the morning and then a more involved one later in the day just to let us know how it went. And we should get some pictures back in pretty short order.
It has a
which will be
camera?
pretty exciting.
Or will it be pictures from the rover? It has a camera.
No, it'll have video from the helicopter. Cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because that's part of the reason, right? You want to be able to pop up and look ahead and see what's up ahead of you so you can start charting better where you're going to go.
It's a reconnaissance vehicle for the rover.
Yeah, for now.
What else could
it'll
it
have
do?
more instrumentation later. Nothing. That's it. It's just cameras at this point. Later, they'll start putting spectrometers on them and so forth. And eventually, you see something that looks cool, you want to investigate, you could fly over there, land next to it, use the spectrometer to look at it and say, okay, there's some interesting stuff in this rock or this cliff face or whatever. And then that gives the rover a cue to go over and check it out.
Actually, if you think
really
about
exciting.
it, if you could get this reliable and it works, a helicopter would really be a better thing than a rover, right? Because you wouldn't have to worry about the terrain or anything.
Yeah, it's just mass.
It can only be 4 pounds, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty small because of that thin air. But they have looked at other things over the years. They've looked at deploying small dirigibles and things of that nature because, if you can get a dirigible up there, as long as you don't have a major windstorm coming up, and even if you do, the air is so thin that it takes a lot of wind blowing it sideways, which is why the beginning of the movie, The Martian, was so silly because, I love the movie, but
nothing's going to fall over.
Yeah, this windstorm could be moving 300 miles an hour and the rocket would barely feel it, right? So, but there is another kind of interesting
Rod,
story.
we're running out of time. I wish we had time. I wasted your time with the Mustang and the thing and the. Anyway, we'll talk. We'll talk next week. Save the good stuff. Rod Pyle, space.nss.org. I love the idea of dirigibles on Mars.
Wouldn't that be cool? And by the way, I have to tell you, completely unrelated, but I was talking to Neil Saavedra over at KFI the other day, and we decided
Neil's great.
Between us that we have to make a pilgrimage up to see your studio sometime.
You and Jesus can come anytime.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing the way he switches gears between Saturday and Sunday?
Is that a secret, by the way? Is that
not anymore. But he's just such a great guy, and every time I talk to him, I feel like I've got a little bit of Neil.
I really like Neil,
the big guy.
Yeah, I don't know Neil that well. We have had lunch. I think Neil and Bill Hanlon and I had lunch once, but he seems like such a nice guy.
He really is, and he's just so genuine and incredibly helpful. And if you need something, he's always there. Which is, and same with Robin. She's been amazing.
Oh, yeah, I owe my career to Robin. Period. So.
I'll send those checks.
Yeah, no kidding. When Robin asks me to do something, I do it, including putting space guy Rod Pyle on the radio.
Yeah.
That was her idea.
For that.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
She's
that
brilliant.
was wonderful.
Yeah.
When I mentioned it to her, she said, I don't know why I didn't think of that. And I said, well, now you have, so please.
She's great.
So it's been a
thrill.
You
You are too. It's a pleasure, and we'll talk next week. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Yep. You had both shots, right? That's the reaction was to the second.
Reaction was to the first. Second one just got me kind of crawling around a little under the weather. But did you have that?
Not yet. Wednesday, I get my second shot, so we'll find out. The sad story. I've told this, but I'll tell you. My son got his first shot, and then what an idiot! What a bonehead! Went to a party, and there were two guys from Michigan, and Michigan, of course, is bright red because of the UK variant.
Right.
And it turned into a super spreader event, and Henry got sick.
Oh. Is he okay?
Yeah, the first day was awful, kind of like you.
Yeah.
He got better on day 2, unlike you. And now he says he can't smell anything, but otherwise he feels fine. So
that happened to my son very early on, and he was completely isolating himself because he was unemployed at the time, so
terrible.
He could. But he lost his sense of taste and smell for about a month.
Oh, that would kill Henry because he's a TikTok chef.
Well, and same problem here. My kid loves to cook, and I finally got some 5-alarm chili. I said, do you taste this? And he said, it tastes like oatmeal, Dad.
Oh,
said,
how depressing.
That is really bad, but it's back.
So depressing. Good.
He's back. He got his shot, so we're all happy here.
Yeah, so I think I don't know what the rules are, but I think he's got to wait now a while to get shot number 2. But he's got some immunity from the first shot and getting sick, so I think he's probably all right.
Well, and the rules, once he's got shot number 1, the rules shouldn't preclude him from getting the second one. I think it's 3 to 6 weeks is the window. So he should have been scheduled right away.
Yeah, he was, but he's now got to have a negative test before he can go. There's a wait. Huh? Yeah, there's a wait. So I don't know. Not a long wait, says Scooter X. So that's good news.
Odd times we live in here.
Yes. But soon our odd times will be even.
Yeah, something like that.
Thank you, Rod.
All right, take care.
Have a great one.
See you next week.
Bye-bye. Thank you for Ms. Professor Laura, our musical director. I don't know why I wanted to call you Mr. That doesn't make any sense. Thank you, Laura, playing all the music for us. Thank you to Kim Schaffer, our phone angel. She answers the phone, gets you on the air. Really appreciate it, Kim. Thanks to all of you for letting me do this. I'm very grateful. It's kind of a dream job, to be honest. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Time for a couple more calls before we wrap things up. Matt from San Pedro's next. Hello, Matt.
Hey, Leo. How you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm great. I had an experience, dropped my my Apple Watch, and the face popped off.
Oh, ow.
And I called Apple, and they said, oh, sure, no problem, send it back. And then they tell me it'll be $264.
Yeah. Oh, Apple. And, of course, they strongly discourage third-party repair, so you don't really have a choice. But this has been going on forever. This is just, the way of the world. They want you to buy an Apple Plus package so that you don't have to pay that. What is the question?
The question is, do you have any third-party sources that you would recommend, or do you recommend paying the $264?
Well, that's a good question. There are all over the place people who replace iPhone screens, and I imagine those same people probably, if they can get the part, and that's the problem, could do the same for an Apple Watch. I can't imagine it's too difficult. That price sounds to me like they're not fixing anything. They're going to give you a refurbed replacement, almost certainly. And what they may be in effect saying is, hey, we can't fix this because of the way it's manufactured. We have to give you a new one, and so that's why it's so expensive.
Is there anything I can say to them that will convince them to give me a new one for free?
You can be very nice. Bring them chocolates. Did you bring it to a store or you mailed it in?
I called up.
You called. Yeah. Sometimes, the geniuses at the Apple Store have a lot of leeway. So sometimes you can convince them, nothing happened. It just popped off. But that's a little bit of a lie, right? So I'm going to send you to ifixscreens.com. Chat room's come up with this. They do Apple Watch repair. They say it. Which version Apple Watch is it?
Series 2. Yeah,
they do Watch Series 2. And so I would at least find out. They repair Apple Watches. The issue is it may not be fully repairable. It may not just be snapping something in or screwing something and unscrewing it and so forth. But I certainly would get a second opinion.
What was the name of that?
ifixscreens.com. And they say specifically Apple Watch Series 2 repair. So I would at least talk to them and say, hey, one of the conditions is broken. Let's see. I think this is generic because this is broken front glass, broken back glass. But maybe it's that watch. Give it a try anyway. I don't know how hard that is to do. Apple does not. If you go to ifixit.com, you can get a repairability score on the Series 2, and I think it's very low. It's probably not 0 out of 10, but it's probably 1, 2, or 3 out of 10. Because, in order to get these small and compact and lightweight and et cetera, they often have to, really kind of glue stuff together. Repairability has taken a back seat. We'll put a link in the show notes to the iFixit page on Apple Watch Series 2 screen replacement. If you can get the part, that's the other way Apple has reduced the ability for third parties to fix this stuff. They don't necessarily make those parts easily available. But iFixit says, okay, but power off your Apple Watch, apply heat. Okay, it's glued. Pry it off, fry up the screen, They use a plastic spudger to do that. And then, if you're lucky, the whole unit can be replaced as a whole. So, but take a look at that before you spend that much money. You can get a new one for that. I would think. Ken's on the line from Corona, California. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Leo. I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome. Glad you found us.
I found you years ago, but I haven't been able to get through to you.
It's not easy, I know. Well, I'm glad you did.
My problem is my grands gave me a new TV for Christmas, a Vizio.
Oh, man.
38-inch.
Oh.
And I do have a problem with my hearing, so I use the closed caption. Now, the problem is the closed caption shows up right in the middle of the picture. And I've talked to AT&T, I've talked to Vizio, and no one's been able to tell me how to get it down at the bottom where it should be. And I was wondering if you can tell me.
That's so funny. What do you use? That's completely worthless. What do you, right? What do you use to get the video on the screen? Where are you trying to turn on closed caption?
Well, I use...
Is it a cable box? Yep. No, I know. But what is the source of the video? Are you watching a streaming device like a Roku, an Apple TV? Are you using AT&T Uverse? What are you?
I'm AT&T Uverse.
Okay. And so there is on the video, on the TV, there is a setting for this. But the reason I ask is it depends where the closed captions are coming from. If the TV's displaying them, you can fix it. But it may be AT&T's display. That's the tricky thing. So here's the trick. I'll walk you through it. And this is directly from Vizio support.
Okay.
It says if your device is connected with a coaxial cord, you'll be able to adjust the closed captioning in your TV's menu. That's why I'm wondering where it's coming from. Try this anyway. Let's see. You take the remote. There's a button that says CC for closed captions. You know that. That's how you turn it on, right? So if you're turning it on with the TV's CC, then you can move it. If you are doing it in another way, like this is why I'm trying to find out where you're getting your video from. How do you turn on the closed captions?
I had been going to the menu.
Whose menu?
The menu on the Uverse remote.
Okay. So that means Uverse is providing the captioning, and that's, I suspect, where you're going to have to change the closed captioning positioning, and they may or may not let you do it. If you're using the closed captions that are coming from the TV, and they may still be.
Okay, on the remote, I see that.
Press the CC.
Okay, I'll press the CC button.
Then press the menu button.
Press the CC and the menu?
No, CC first.
Okay.
Then menu.
All right, menu.
And now, if you use the arrow keys to highlight closed captions and press OK, you can use the left and right arrow keys to change. No, that's not going to do it. Huh? I thought you could position it with the arrow keys. Oh, I might be wrong. Press a menu, press arrow keys, change the closed. No, this isn't going to do it. You know what? I'm running out of time, and I'm running out. I have to turn over all the cards. We're going to give you the $5 because you have stumped me. I think there's going to be, we'll put in the show notes at techguylabs.com a way to do this through the Uverse. I think that's really where you have to do it. And we've got a link for you. So check that out. All the answers to all the questions on the show, such as they are, at techguylabs.com. I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. I'll see you next time. Have a great Geek Week. I need a longer show. All right, let me look. Hold on. Don't hang up yet, Ken, because I'm going to see if we can. I thought I had it from Vizio. To closed captions. Closed captioning preference. Looks like this might be a default setting that you can't change.
Golf right right now. Of course, I got it on mute, but I'm looking at the type, and the type is right in the center.
That's so terrible. I've never seen closed captioning do that. I use it too all the time. Half the time I'm saying, what did he just say?
Yeah, and I can scroll back.
It's so much easier. You know, to enable options, there is a closed captioning settings on the Uverse from the TV menu, but I don't know if you can change the positioning. I have seen this in the menus. So if you can do this, you'll be doing it from that menu that you turn it on with. Select Options, System, Closed Captioning. And if there is somewhere a way to change those preferences, that's where it will be.
Yeah, well, I've got options. I've got closed caption.
Yeah.
And there's an arrow to the right. All right, I press that, and it says on or off. Well, I've got it on.
And those are the only choices.
Yes.
Now, it may be... Okay, here we go. Matthew, very helpful. Menu, remote options, system, closed captions. Turn digital closed captioning off. Turn on standard closed captioning.
Hold on, closed caption and
turn digital off.
Okay, and press OK. Okay.
And then there should be an option for standard closed captioning CC1 or closed caption 1. In other words, there's 3 different kinds of closed captions. And I think it's the digital ones that are superimposed in the middle, which is nuts. Who wants it there? But if you choose CC1 or standard closed captioning.
Oh, that's not on the C where it says CC. I just got on or
Is that okay?
I got on. Okay, so it says options, and then the list reads closed caption, add favorites, edit, add favorites, audio, language.
And the only choice with closed captioning is on or off.
It's either on or off, yeah. I go to the right of that.
Yeah, and so there's no other place to turn on closed captioning besides that?
Well, no, because I wasn't aware of that until you mentioned it. I was doing it from the menu.
I think the issue is that there are different kinds of closed captions.
Oh.
And you're going to want to find CC1, or at least go through the different ones till you find one that's positioned right.
Okay, well, now I go to menu, and...
Are you using the Uverse remote?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only one that I have because they set it up so that my remote turns the TV...
Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
...off and on.
Yeah.
I go to menu, and it says guide, favorites, recordings, on demand... Oh, down the bottom there's hold on, let me go down to options. I click on options, and okay, options. Okay, all right. Now there's a box that says closed caption, and it's squared. Okay, I'll press that, and it says okay. Now I got a screen that says closed caption on, closed caption off. Digital closed caption, standard closed caption.
Standard.
Okay, and the digital closed caption says change. So
you don't want digital, you want standard.
Okay, I'll go to standard, but standard says off.
So turn digital off. Turn standard on.
Yeah, it says digital closed caption, automatic, standard off. So I'm not sure how I get... I guess I have to do one at a time, okay? I can't get there. Change, okay. Now it says off, closed caption 1, closed caption...
CC1, that's the one you want.
Go to closed caption 1 and okay.
So you want digital off, standard on, CC1.
Okay.
That should move it down. And you can try the other CCs. Sometimes they're different languages, but each CC 1, 2, 3, and sometimes there's 4 and 5. Each
4 on mine.
Yeah, they have different. So try the different ones so you get one you like.
Oh, okay. Okay, then it says then I have to go back and then
just see what you have now with CC1. I'm crossing my fingers.
Okay, and save and closed caption done, and it just repeats the same thing again.
Just get out of it. Exit the menu.
Oh, okay. Exit to TV. Okay. No, it's still in the middle. Huh. Actually, it's in the upper third.
Oh, it's moved. That's good. So now do the same thing, but try the other CCs.
Okay, let's see.
So you turn off the digital, turn on the standard, and try the CC1. And if you don't like that, try CC2. The fonts should change. It should look slightly different, and more importantly, it should be in a different position. And I have to run, but try those settings. And then if that doesn't work, you might want to find the Vizio remote. I don't know where you stuck it, but you might be able to do this on the Vizio remote instead.
Oh, okay.
Vizio may also have a choice between different closed captions.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ken.
Hey.
Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.